Welcome to Best of Both Worlds. I'm Linda V. Taylor, your host, and I'm so glad you joined me today. Today we will be finishing the Baltimore Album. I'm so excited to show you how I am finishing this project. I have been, as I told you last time, I have been putting birds and butterflies and all of the computerized designs around all of the floral areas on the quilt. There were a couple of areas that I wanted to particularly have you pay attention to see how I place them and all the freehand that I put around them. So let's go to the screen and let me show you what I did. I brought the quilt in to my program, to Creative Studio, and I designed these frames, and I thought they would look really pretty in these larger white area. This is quite a large area. So I put them up on the screen and just so I could see how they're going to come out of the bows and about how close they're going to be over here to the flowers over here and the flowers over here. Then I put the birds in each one of them like that, just so I could see what it looked like. Then I went to the quilt and did a boundary where I needed to put these frames, and here they are, and they were ready to sew out. So have sewed those on the quilt. And here's one that's finished on the quilt. So you could take a look at that, and you can see there it's not a plain frame anymore. So let me show you now how I feathered that frame and also decorated that bird a little bit with freehand. Okay, so I am just coming over here with my stacked feathers, coming back to the line, coming out, just retracing that line, coming out like that. And I could draw, you know, if you're insecure a little bit, you could draw a line so you bring those all exactly the same, but I don't want them all the same. I want them to look a little different. So those are kind of long, so maybe I'll come in with a little bit shorter one here and over like that. I was getting a little bit of bouncing there, so I lowered my bar. I think sometimes we forget that. Again, my belts are on and I'm just using that power assist, but you could just take the belts off here. And this I'm going to come out to with a point, and I'll come around it with another feather. And then I'll just drag my thread here because it's inside there where I'm not going to be quilting. Take a few stitches in here because you start that feather with a teardrop. And you can't go backwards. You cannot go backwards on the stacked feather. At least I haven't found out how to do that yet and have it look the same. So that's why I call it a stacked feather. I think of bricks, and you can only stack bricks one way. There we go. I'm going to fill in this area with the long arm pearls, and I follow that line over and then I come back round. And we've done this before on this project. So it has a flat side. You see that? And my hand is just sort of guiding it along that flat side because I do not want to go into the frame at all. I want to keep that area, make sure that I don't get any stitches in there. And come right in here like this and put one right in the corner, and then I'll come back down and start down this side. And yes, they're not all exactly the same size, but they're going to look like they are. And I think the artistry will speak for itself. I'm not a perfectionist, but I love quilting. And I don't think it all has to be perfect. I strive for excellence. Now, the bird. And while I'm right here, oh, look at those pearls, they look so pretty. While I'm here, I'm going to come in here and I'll just kind of come out here with some curls. And even while I'm in a curl, I can make another one. Just because you make a curl doesn't mean you're finished. And I'll echo this. Maybe I'll echo it a couple of times. I do have some space to fill in. And I'll come out with some other little curls just to fill in that blank spot. I'm going to stop there. I'm going to come over on this side and I'm going to put some more feathers down this side. And I think I'll make them a little bit smaller feathers. They're long, but they're narrow. And maybe I'll even come out with a little curl there. There we go. And then I will just follow this over because I don't want to stop my quilting. Just follow my lines over. I'm going to make this pointed out here, like that, and then I can continue to echo. I love doing birds. I know my birds don't look like anybody else's birds, and I'm not unhappy about that. And I think you should just do your own birds too. And if you don't want to do your own birds, you can have this pattern too. Do you like this pattern? See, I'm filling in that space. And then I'll come along like this and just sort of echo up there like that. And that really filled in around the space, and that bird's kind of hidden in that jungle. In case you missed the bird, here's the beak, and I could do some thread painting there on the beak, but she's looking backwards and coming around like this with her beautiful tail. I just wanted to show you, I'd also auditioned these cute little birds in the leaves and was thinking I might want to put them under there. And you can see how I can also place different patterns that I have around these elements just to view and see what they're going to look like. But I decided to separate these birds and I put one on each side of this wreath, and I'll show you what I did to make that wreath into a heart. This top wreath is really pretty, and I've already done the cross hatching, but it sort of looked like a heart to me. So I'm going to make it into a heart, and I have already done feathers. I'm going to do feathers around all the wreaths, but I've already done some feathers here. And so in this part right here, I'm going to come in, and I think I will use my arch guide. I'm going to come down to this point, and from that leaf, just kind of make a line there. And from the tip of this leaf down to here, I'm just going to do just a very faint chalk line there. And that will give me a line that I can stitch, and then I just have to feather it. So I will start with the teardrop, come back over. I'm going to fill in that little area right there with the feather. And these can get pretty long here. I can put a short one in here and then come back like that. If you just practice this on paper, you're going to be so amazing at it. Now, I'm going to stop there because I have to come down the other, you know what, I'm not going to stop there, I just got an idea. So, I love making this up as I go. I'm going to start right here, like that, and come over, and I'll come up this side, like that. And I'll just follow that back around. Now I need to extend, see my other feather came over here. So all I have to do is go back over very carefully. There we go. And again, start with a teardrop. And I can come clear over to the bird because I want to fill that in anyway. Let me move this thread out of the way, it's bothering me. And I had some that came, you know, pretty long out there. And then I can come back in here with a short one. Come back in like that, and there we go. Now I can follow this back up. And you know what? I just got another idea. Oh, seriously. You know, a quilter doesn't get to work because she's inspired. She's inspired because she gets to work. Write that down. I like this. It really made this into a heart. And I have a little area right here. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put June's initials, JS, in here. She spent 1 year appliquing this quilt, so she deserves her initials in here. And she's going to be watching this show. And I used to be a Jones, so I know how to make J's. J and S. Very stylized. And nobody but her might know that. I don't know. I think this is a present for her granddaughter, so she can let her know. As you know, when you do freehand, there's no way to addition it on your screen. So I was just filling in, you know, seeing what I want to do with the feathers. And then I want some space between what I do on this applique and what I do on this applique. Then I was additioning some of the different things that I might want to do around it. And I think that the angled cross-hatching, I want to make sure that I can do that. You've seen how that works, so that shouldn't be hard for you to do. And if you don't have a Statler, you could also just do use your channel locks and do straight cross-hatching. I am going to, I do want to do this feather so it's bigger out here in the front, and then it gets smaller as it goes back behind the basket. So it'll be kind of dimensional, and that's all you have to do when you're doing dimensional quilting is large and small. And then you can see that I'm going to feather the bows, and I'm just so excited to get this finished. Here is a picture of the actual middle of the quilt finished, just so you can see exactly how that I executed that from the picture to the quilt. Don't we wish it was that fast? But it just came together so beautifully. Now I have finished all of the white areas with using the white thread, and I am going to be changing thread to finish around on some of the applique. One of the places that I want to show you right now is what I decided to do on those purple swags around the outside of the quilt. So let's get started on that. These applique swags are very common on Baltimore albums, and they're beautiful, but we need to put something in them because they've got to be quilted somehow. So I'm going to go into my boundary, and I'm first going to just click around here. This just needs to give me some idea of where this is. I know you can do it really, really carefully and intricately. I'm doing a few more clicks on the curves. I think I need an automatic clicker here. There we go. Now we can look at the screen. I have my sashing pattern highlighted, and I'll go up to repeat patterns, and it tells me to click OK to place pattern at chosen pattern location, and it says center here, in which that's fine with me. And none of these swags were exactly the same size. So now I will move my machine over to the center of those swags and click OK. So there's my first one, and I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing. And it just puts my little pattern right in there and there. And there's our pattern. So if you had squares or circles or swags all the way across that you were doing, that's what you'd do, and that's how I did those. Now we'll just fiddle with them. Go to our computer, and of course they need to be bigger. So I'm just going to stretch them out here. I don't want to get these really close to the edges. And they're even turned just a little bit on some of them. But I do trust my clicks were good, so. And I'm pretty confident, and I have a lot of space around them, and I want a lot of space around them because I don't need these to go right to the edge. So we're ready to quilt. In the corner, I am just going to do a freehand feathered rose with some leaves. It's just easier than digitizing a new pattern. So I will go over to my regulated. Actually, I'm going to do constant. There we go. And I come into a little curl like that, and then I start laying these feathers down like this. And when I hit that line where I came in, then I will put some leaves coming down here. On this side, I'm going to put 3 leaves in here. I'll continue to echo and jump in deep like that, and then come out up here, another leaf, and echo, and then down the side here with another leaf. I have had so much fun. This has been the funnest project. Thank you so much for joining me on this project. Let's take a look at let's hang it up and take a look at it together. These are some before pictures, before it was quilted, and here is the beautiful picture of it after it's quilted. Boy, you can really see how the cross-hatching stands out. And as we get more close-ups, you'll be able to see some of the feathers that go around it. Here's the area where the frames went. And you can kind of see where how outstanding those were. Here's a pan down through the middle. So you can see the birds and the frames and the butterflies and all the feathers just going all the way down. There's those beautiful little hearts underneath, those dimensional hearts. This is a pan across the top of it finished. So you can see how I finished by just filling in with many of my freehand feathers. And echoing is always good. It kind of contains the design within the echo. Remember, these designs were turned the other direction, so when I did them on the computer, I did them that way, around those little wreaths and flowers that are turned to the side. And you can also see a little bit more of the outside quilting and the swags. The bottom pan gives you a better idea of them kind of straight up and down. This really turned out to be quite a beauty. A show quilt for sure. This quilt was a queen size, so it was rather large. It's hard to get the entire quilt at once in the picture. So it was 106 long. Just some more of the details on the quilting. That feathered ribbon around the outside of the corners of the baskets was just a perfect thing to put there. I think I have a total of about 80 hours of quilting into this quilt. I absolutely could not have done it that quickly without using my computerized designs as well as my freehand. It's like I never get tired of looking at it because there's so many things to see. My eyes just go from one thing to the next, and I equally love every single area. Do you get as excited about quilting as I do? The Hobbs wool batting, it was the lofty wool batting, and it just was perfect for this quilt. It allowed all of the quilting to show up, the recesses and relief areas, and it made it also more of a lightweight quilt where it could have been very heavy because it is so large. Thanks again for joining me today. Don't miss a single episode. I have some really fun guests coming up on future programs, and so check back often on the best of both worlds. For products, patterns, and retreats, visit lindavtaylor.com.